Welcome to the Now. I'm Ashley Jenkins.
And I'm Adam Ellis.
Broken promises, missing players, bugs galore. Let's face it, hitting on No Man's Sky is like the internet's new favorite pastime. And some just released sales data is giving a couple of people who are on the game's hate wagon a feeling of sweet, sweet vindication.
New data out of the UK shows that No Man's Sky has suffered a huge drop-off in second week sales. So now the No Man's Sky dogpile is starting up all over again, with people wondering if this means the ambitious Lonely Universe simulator is officially a commercial failure.
Look, we thought we'd take a look at the numbers ourselves to see if that's actually the case, or if it's just, wishful thinking from the game's growing number of detractors. And guess what? Well, that's what the rest of the story is about.
The data that's making headlines comes from GfK Chart Track, an outfit that monitors physical retail sales in the UK. Their early reports from the second week of No Man's Sky shows that the week 2 sales fell a whopping 81% from the game's launch week. And more than that, it slipped to number 2 in the top sellers behind F1 racing game F1 2016.
Yeah, F1 2016! Everyone's all about that! Well, physically in the UK at least. A simple Google search can show you all the video game news outlets who are jumping on this fact, reporting just how bad it is for No Man's Sky to have that kind of a drop-off in its second week.
But that's not really an accurate picture of what's going on. For starters, there are 2 qualifiers in this data. It covers physical retail only, which ignores purchases of No Man's Sky on Steam and PSN, and it's only relegated to sales in the UK.
And the drop-off number is super misleading when it comes to video games. We'll dig into why in just a second. The reason people are doing it, however, is because looking at second week performance has become the latest trend in movie metrics.
With huge marketing pushes and slightly deceptive trailers, it's easy to pack theaters on opening weekend before word of mouth ruins the fun for everyone. So now analysts have taken to use the second week drop-off to determine whether or not a film is going to be financially successful in the long haul.
Generally, anything over a 60% drop-off is bad news for a new movie, so it was especially nice for DC Cinematic Universe haters when Batman v Superman fell off 69% in its second week. Meanwhile, Suicide Squad fell off 67%. So those are both recent examples that had everyone going, ooh.
And yes, this 81% number for No Man's Sky looks worse on paper than those. And it makes a good headline to claim that No Man's Sky sucks more than Suicide Squad in the second week of life.
But that doesn't mean the game is doing poorly commercially, because newsflash, this is important. You're gonna wanna write this like on your fridge, look at it every day. Movies aren't video games.
Really? While launch window sales are equally important for both mediums, much of the video game industry is built on pre-orders.
The first week and usually the first day sales of video games represent months worth of purchases thanks to publishers pushing pre-order incentives. Pre-orders then fuel the number of units they can ship out to retailers who order stock at a number relative to those pre-orders. Typically, day ones are massive, with the next few days mostly reserved for people who are waiting on reviews.
It gives the opening week of a video game ridiculous and sort of deceptive numbers. That's why I always see big self-stroking press releases talking about how The Division was the biggest launch in Ubisoft's history, or how No Man's Sky First Day was the best new IP launch ever for Sony on PS4.
No matter how you try to break the numbers down, months of purchases are way more impressive than the weeks that follow, and this holds fairly typical across even the biggest sellers in the video game industry.
For perspective on No Man's Sky's 81% drop-off, Uncharted 4, now one of the best-selling PlayStation titles ever, dropped 78% in its second week.
Yes, that gives No Man's Sky a bigger drop-off than Uncharted 4, but it's not a bigger drop-off than Fallout 4, Dark Souls 3, which also both fell more than 80% at their second weeks. Even GTA 5, almost the highest-selling video game of all time, for the record, fell off in the 80 percentile.
However, looking at console and physical drop-offs is just one piece of the puzzle, because fortunately, we can peek at the game's numbers on Steam.
Yeah, we love that Steam Spy. And there, in terms of early sales, No Man's Sky is no slouch. According to Steam Spy, whose data only spans through the weekend, it's got a couple days lag on it, the total number of owners of No Man's Sky is around 762,000. When you consider that Dark Souls 3, another one of the biggest PC launches of the year, has around 1 million owners on Steam, that's not a bad opening number for Hello Games at all.
Not terrible. Like physical sales for the PS4 in the UK, the drop-off is looking fairly significant there as well. 70,000 of those purchases came after the first weekend, with nearly 690,000 in the first weekend.
More troubling than the game's sales, though, and probably the most telling, are a few other numbers that stick out, like the amount of returns and concurrent players. According to SteamDB, No Man's Sky has suffered almost a 90% drop in concurrent users.
Ouch.
That's a lot of people to drop off after a single week, especially for a game that's supposed to take hundreds of hours to play through.
Yeah, jeez. At its peak, No Man's Sky hit just over 212,000 concurrent players in its launch weekend, putting it on the map as the biggest PC game launch this year so far on Steam. Overwatch was probably bigger, but Blizzard uses their own client, so we don't have access to those numbers.
However, you can bet Overwatch was like no one was talking about anything.
Significantly bigger.
To be fair, no one was talking about anything but No Man's Sky the week it came out, but mostly Overwatch. Overwatch was huge.
And there's multiplayer in Overwatch, which makes it even better. However, that 212,000 has dropped to around 22,000 a day in just over 1 week.
The numbers also show that for a couple of days, like August 18th and 19th, the total number of owners dropped by around 500, indicating that many more people requested refunds than actually bought the game.
Sheesh.
That sucks for the developers. You don't want those numbers to go down. Negative owners is bad.
But those numbers have more to do with how much staying power it may or may not have, not whether or not it sold well. Because judging by how it top charts on both PC and PS4 in its first week, and how many total owners it already has on Steam, the game was a huge commercial success, especially for what amounts to a $60 indie game created by a small development team.
Does the game have problems? Yes, it has loads of problems, and it is totally angering a significant amount of players. That's totally true, and we count ourselves among people who have plenty of gripes about the game. I'm still playing it. I don't know why. I finally understand.
I'm a former player.
I finally understand Ryan and Destiny. We made fun of him for months for still playing Destiny, even though he said he didn't like Destiny, but I'm bitching about No Man's Sky all the time and still playing it. So there we go. But so that sucks. But did it actually fail from a sales standpoint? By all accounts, at the moment, the answer is no.
Still, the concurrent players dropping off and the huge number of apparent refunds is a cause for concern. While day one sales are a key benchmark for many publishers, Hello Games would rather maintain player engagement and continue to drive sales over time.
It'll take more time to figure out whether or not No Man's Sky's extremely mixed word of mouth hurts it in the long term. If we start seeing aggressive sales, knocking it down to $40 or so in the next couple of months, that would be one indicator that the drop-off is maybe a little bit more than the company expected.
And we'll be able to get more data from Steam and other retailers over the next few months too.
So if you're a No Man's Sky hater hoping this means Sean Murray and Hello Games caught their comeuppance for selling you a disappointing game, sorry, sadly for you, that ship is probably already sailed. It sailed way back on the first day it was out.
It just means we'll need to be slower to pull the trigger on pre-orders. Although, to be fair, complaining on the internet is much easier.
Much easier. So what do you guys think of all these reports of No Man's Sky failing? Let us know in the comments.
For future updates on the game everyone loves to hate right now, like this video and subscribe to The Know. 70,000% of the purchases.
Wow,
so many purchases.